everyone! Hi! I thought I will sit down and record a little video about my knitting tools. I'm sure you are curious, so I made a list of all the things that I'm using while knitting or designing, and I will just go through the list and show you my favorite things to use and what I have in my arsenal. So, Morcia. This is of course the main tool, the main accessory, and the main assistant. Nothing would be possible without you guys. But yeah, let's start from the most important. Needles. I usually use circular needles, and I also have double pointed ones which are 20 centimeters, 8 inches long. So the circular ones, I use interchangeables. I have a lot of different sizes of chagu interchangeables, and they come with different lengths of cables. I really like these red cables, which are, I think they're called twist, because they have enough flexibility and they also have enough structure in them. And it's very easy to just change between different lengths or different sizes of the needles. And before, I used to like the wooden ones, but now I mostly use the metal ones, and the ends are just perfect for me. They're not too pointy and not too blunt. So these are my favorite needles that I use all the time. I used to have some knit bras, a whole set of interchangeables, but I gifted it to my mom because I haven't been using them for a long time. So I keep everything in like a yogurt jar. And I have all my interchangeables here. I also have some of the wooden ones of chagu, but I mostly use the metal ones. They are really nice and long-lasting, because I broke, I think, a few wooden ones just by sitting on it. Yeah, so that's with the needles, and they come with nice different length cables. They also have connectors that connect shorter cables into longer ones. For instance, if you want to try on a sweater and you don't have a long enough cable for that, you can just use a tiny connector that will connect this end of two different cables into one long one. So that makes it really easy without having to move stitches between cables. You just add a bit of cable and keep working. What else? They also have really nice stoppers, things like this, which you put on the end of the cable, and that is going to keep your stitches in place. My project usually looks like this. I have all cables hanging out from different places, and then the things that I'll hold are fixed with this sort of end. Or when I'm knitting and I have, for instance, I have a hem on my needles and then I wanted to try it on and my needles are still there and I'm too lazy to detach the needles, I go for this sort of stoppers. These are handmade from cork, and I just put them, I just put them like this, and that's enough to stop stitches from falling off if I have to try something on that I'm still working on. Very simple. Also, you don't have to buy these ones. You can just use these ones, but then you have to keep your needles on, so you have to think about that. Yeah, so this is with all the chagu story with all the cables and things. I also tried their spinny ones. So these are circular, not interchangeable, just the regular needles. And it is a small size, and I think I took this for socks or something. And the cable, you can see the difference. The cable is very flexible. It's just very soft, and I really I prefer the more rigid ones. It's not super rigid, it's very flexible still, but it also keeps the shape of what you're knitting better, because this will be just, if you knit a shawl, then maybe it's not a problem, but if I do like to have some structure in my hands, then I don't have to hold that much. So yeah, I have this one's probably for magic loop socks or mittens or something like that, when you want flexibility and you have two pieces, two garments on your needle. That's fine. Needles. Okay, double pointed ones. I mostly use double pointed ones for swatching, or for when I have a very tight cuff or very intricate pattern on the cuff that I can't do with the magic loop. Then I use double pointed ones, and I have a whole bunch of different sizes. They are mostly wooden, which I like for swatching, but I also have some small ones in metal, and these are also Chagu metal ones. These are short ones. I think I took these ones for socks or something like that. But the rest is like 20 centimeters, 8 inches, different sizes, for like even really chunky ones, for different things. So I have a whole bunch of needles here, which I rarely use, but they are there for me to grab if I need them. I also use my double pointed needles for as a cable needle sometimes, because I don't own a single cable needle. I can do almost everything just by holding stitches, so I don't really need a cable needle, even for like huge cables. But if I have to use a needle, then this is enough. Especially if it's a wooden one, it holds stitches well, so they don't slip off. So that's fine. Next one is stitch markers, and I am also very bad with marking stitches. I use mostly pumpkin stitch markers, which are removable, things like this. Different colors, but same shape, same principle. I usually put stitch markers on the stitches that I need to mark, so I do use removable stitch markers, and I rarely use markers that are just staying there and then I have to move. It's a bit of a habit of mine. I don't like markers on my work. If there is a repeat, it's easier for me to remember than just slip markers all the time. So sometimes my instructions, they lack this slip marker thing, because I just don't do it. And if you do that, you just adjust that to you. You know where you put the marker, and you remember that you have to slip. It's just obvious to me that when you reach that marker, you have to slip it. There is no other way. So yeah, I honestly tried. I ordered myself really cute ones. I wouldn't remember her name right now. There's this lady on Instagram who makes this super nice loop markers with gemstones, and I got myself a little set of those, and I thought that I will be using them and it's gonna look so nice and cute, but nope. Nope, they turned out no, despite how beautiful they are, they weren't practical for me, so they turned out to be a bit too bulky for me. And if it was just the loop, just a single loop, less tangly and everything, it would probably work, but yeah, as I mentioned, I think just carrying markers along in every row is a bit annoying, so I just don't do that. These are beautiful. I just keep them on a shelf as beautiful deco, but unfortunately I don't use them. I'm very simple, very functional knitter, so even though I find things beautiful and cute, it doesn't mean they work for me. Yeah, next one is crochet hook, and I do use a lot of crochet hooks to weave in ends, and also do some treatments to the edges sometimes. It's really nice to catch to hide the ends or the beginning at the end of the yarn where you start the row. So it is a very useful tool that I'm using. I have a very ugly one that I'm not going to show you, but I mostly use this these two, which is number 2 and 4, like 4mm and 2mm hooks from Clover. They are really nice, soft handles, and yeah, good hooks. I am not a crocheter, like I don't crochet necessarily, only like very simple things, like, you know, I do this yarn leftover cat bags that are super easy, so you don't have to do a lot of extra super complicated things with hook, but yeah, I know how to use them for other things, for edging and other things. I actually prefer using a hook to weave in the ends than a needle. And now we will move to the tapestry needle, because I actually don't own one. I have a couple of just regular darning needles, which are these bigger ones with a big we call it ear. It's not ear, like the place where you thread the yarn. So I have a couple of these long ones, long and big needles, fat needles that I just use as some of them are blunt, some of them are more sharp, but you can use some sanding paper to make them really blunt and just use it as a tapestry needle, basically. So I use this sort of needles to seam things, or whenever I need a sort of tapestry needle, that would usually be my choice. Okay, next one is well, of course, I have a measuring tape. That's the old one from Muji, I think. The beginning of it broke off, so I had to add some yarn on top of it, so that's fine. But it works perfectly, and I'm very happy with it. I also have a gauge ruler, which is, I think, supposed to be used for measuring the gauge of your swatches. But I am also a bit of a cheater when it comes to swatching. I rarely make a swatch this big, because you need to make a swatch this big in order to see 10 centimeters in this frame, inside of the frame. So yeah, and Jagu needles are really good with numbers, so they don't disappear with time, and I don't have to use this scale for the size of the needle. So this is basically also a very nice purchase that looked nice, but turned out not to be very useful for me. It might be useful for you though. So yeah, I have this, but barely use it. Then let's move to another thing which has to do with blocking. So we started with needles. We went through all the processes that go on needles and everything. Imagine that you have a sweater or something knitted already and you want to block it. I usually do wash everything that I knit, including hats and, well, basically everything, with maybe an exception of Nivalis wrap that I didn't block, because it was garter stitch in Nutiden, and I felt like the blocking wouldn't do that much to the shape, and it didn't need to be blocked, to be honest. So that one I didn't block, but the rest of my knits that you've probably seen, I did block them. And what I usually do is I wash them and I wrap them in like a big towel, and I leave them for like 10-15 minutes in the towel to absorb the water, and then I place them on top of a yoga mat. I don't have a blocking, I don't know how you call it, like a puzzle carpet. So yeah, use what you have. I'm using yoga mat, and sometimes it's outside, most of the time it's inside. So I put another old towel underneath the sweater, for instance. So yoga mat, another towel, and then on top of it I put my sweater, and then straightening it out. I rarely pin things. If I need to pin, that would mostly be shawls. Oh, be careful. And for that I have this set from Knit Pro, and these are just pins like this. So if you have some edges that you want to pin, you can use these ones. I don't use them very often, but sometimes I do. Most of the time I would just straighten everything flat and give it the shape that I want. And it doesn't need like extensive aggressive blocking. But if it does, these things are very helpful. And then your yoga mat, I don't think they really ruin your yoga mat. It's fine if the yoga mat is a bit thicker, not just a very thin one, but if it's a bit thicker, or like a camping mat, that's also a good option. They will leave a bit of holes, but I don't think it's a big deal. Also, I sometimes find that a cheap yoga mat is cheaper than those blocking pads. So yeah, this is when it comes to blocking big things. And for the hats, I usually use you know this crochet? I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but this sort of terrarium thing for plants that has like a glass top of it. And yeah, I used to use this glass top. It's rounded like this, so it's perfect. It's not flat round, it's just a bit pointy, and it's perfect for hats. So I used to use that one for blocking hats. Works perfectly. And for the socks, I have proper sock blockers that I bought myself. I used to have, actually you don't have to buy anything. If you're creative, you can figure out things without spending a dime. I used to have ones that are made by cutting out a shape from coasters. The plastic coasters you put on table under your hot plates. So those ones, like if you have some old ones, or you can buy a cheap one in secondhand shop, you can download a shape like sorry, I'm looking for words. But you can download a file where you have a drawing of a sock blocker, and then you just trace it to the coaster, you cut it out, and you have a perfect sock blocker, which is sometimes I think even better than the wooden ones, because it's flat, so it doesn't stretch that much your sock, and it's much easier to put your sock on it because you can bend it, and it works perfectly. It does the same job. And I bought myself some wooden ones because I really like the pattern. So you see, I can see this now. There is a tendency of me buying beautiful things, which might not be very useful though. So I bought these ones because they were really beautiful, and I do use them. But as I said, they do come with a bit of a challenge of putting on things, and then if you have to really struggle to put them on the blocker, you sort of stretch too much this part, because they have this sort of, well, my heel is not as wide in this part, so I have to really stretch the cuff in order to put the sock on, and that creates a bit of a extra room here that I'm not necessarily liking. So this is a bit of it is beautiful, yes, and it is usable, but I think I couldn't find the old ones, though I was looking for them, but I don't know where I put them, so I can't really show you. But it's very easy to make, and if you need sock blockers, that's like a super good solution. And you can also adjust them by cutting a bit here and there, so you can really make them work for your personal shape of your feet and ankles and everything. So I think it's a really good idea. Next is what I have. I also have some project bags which I don't use. I thought that I will be using them for traveling and I don't know, just keeping things in the office, but the thing is, in the office it's usually out and about, so either on the couch or somewhere in a basket. It's in the office, so nothing is gonna happen to it. Kati she's really good with yarn. She doesn't play with it. She knows that it's not a game. There is nothing to worry about in terms of pets ruining things. So for me, for now, I didn't really have the necessity to use a project bag. And traveling, sometimes I also felt like it might be too bulky to travel with like a proper project bag. So it's just easier to put them in like a tiny canvas bag and take it with me. So yeah, I got these two recently, and this one is Pictus pouch. It's from God give me memory. Payauta makes, I think it's the right name. I will write everything out. So Milda, she lives in Lithuania, and we made this in collaboration. She designed this embroidery pattern in collaboration with me when I had my Pictus pullover released. So this was a gift from her. She made sewing kits and embroidery kits for this design, and then I also ordered myself this beautiful project bag from her. It's a small size, beautiful embroidery that I really love. You see, beautiful things. It has also pockets inside, so I felt like, okay, that's gonna be a good project bag that I can finally use. And it's been with me for I think a month or so, and I took it with me to Ireland, and that was really nice. But I also felt I was traveling with hand luggage only, and I felt like it was taking a bit of a space. So it is quite thick and quite nice if you have needles inside, so there is no discussion there. But for me, I felt like it was a bit too bulky in terms of having too much luggage. So yeah, I'm still not convinced if I'm a project bag person, but I'm trying for the sake of beauty, and I'm really trying. And you see, I'm trying to support people who do beautiful things, and that's sweet, I think. Another thing that I have to go back, that's Swift and yarn winder. So the Swift I have is a very simple one. I think it's like, I don't know, it's super cheap. It makes a lot of noise, but it does the job. So it is a bit wonky. It's fixed with this just little strings, and but it does work. So yeah, it doesn't make that much noise though. So yeah, it's this regular wooden Swift that I have, and let's see the winder is like this, and I wish I could tell you where to get it, but this was a gift from my husband. actually the one that I chose and sent him a link to buy, and was back in long time ago, like 7 years now ago. There was a blog somewhere out in the internet where someone in Estonia was making this sort of Swift winders at home as a hobby, and you had to place an order through that blog, and yeah, it was complicated. I don't know how the whole thing went because my husband was ordering it, and back in the day it was quite expensive. I know that now they are also quite expensive, the ones that are commercially available, but this one was handmade, and I'm really happy with it. And I'm really worried if something happens to the rubber or any of the things that get broken, I won't have a replacement. So that's a bit of a worry of mine, but it's been now 7+ years and it's working really well. Yeah, it's just a regular nice little Swift, sorry, why do I say Swift? Winder that you can fix to the table with this little thingy that goes in here, and then you put it, adjust the thickness, the distance between here for the table, and then you fix it with like that. Yeah, and then it goes, and this one is also adjustable, so you can choose the angle. Yeah, so that's it. Unfortunately, I can't give you the directions where to get it from, but this is what I use. And yeah, it doesn't say anything. It says handcrafted, and there were some initials here that said, let me see, Y and T. So that's, maybe you are lucky and you can find it somewhere, but that's what it says. There's nothing else here. I think the last thing that I will also show you is how I keep my notes. I have 2 notebooks. First one is for creative things, for sketching and just trying out ideas. So this is just not lined, blank canvas for ideas. I have a little outlined body shapes that I can just transfer on page to draw the sweaters on top of the models. Not a good drawer though, so I'm cheating a bit there. I'm gonna look for something that I can show you without spoiling things. Let's see. Oh yeah, for instance, this one. This one is the vest that I'm wearing now. So I'm drawing out things that I want to have in the design. So this is the one. It has this pattern on the shoulders, and then also on the bottom here, and the central panel, which has a tiny little element here. It's called a Forest Keys Vest, and these are little keys to the forest, and you can actually design your own key to put in here. So it could be something of your, like, different shapes, and there's also space in a little chart in the pattern where you can try and design your own. Yeah, so this is the notebook for sketching, and then I have another notebook where I actually write down the pattern as I go. So as I need a sample, I'm writing down, when it's complicated, when it's a shawl, I'm writing every row or every row, and if it's something simple, I keep it simple. So for instance, it looks like this. It's lined. For this I prefer a lined one, and then every row can be in a separate line, and that's very nice. So this was the bifurka vest here. Yeah, so yeah, I keep it very neat, then it's very easy to write the pattern, and I'm trying to keep it neat. It's not always like that. yeah, then it makes it easier to write a clear pattern, and I don't have to wonder what did I do there or what happened. Yeah, so I think this is it. If I forgot something, please ask me in the comments. I will be reading them and answering. I am also thinking about recording a separate episode about my stash yarn and how I keep the yarn, how I store my knits, if you're interested, so please let me know. If there's anything else you're wondering about my processes or how things are organized in the studio, please ask, and I'll be recording next episode soon then. Thanks a million for watching, and see you soon.